with respect to Lauren Murphy and Jessica Andrade and all the other women chasing Valentina Shevchenko, I can sit here and tell you, late in 2020, I believe Miranda Maverick is the second best women's flyweight in the world.
Coming up this weekend, flyweight grapplers meet in Vancouver. We have St. Catharines, Ontario's own. It's Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's going to be taking on Fear the Miranda Maverick, repping Colorado as it stands, training at a pound-for-pound Muay Thai with some pretty darn good fighters. And we've seen Coach Justin Houghton really up on a pedestal, really doing great work with the men and women that are training out of that region of Colorado. And for Maverick, you see an improvement in the striking, but you also see a bevy of training partners in the weight classes. We've seen her train with Raquel Pennington, who's going to be the backup for the main event coming up this weekend between Aldana and one Amanda Nunes. But if I do focus in on this matchup, Matt, I have a bit of a hard time. You know why?
Why?
Because I'm 0-3 in picking Jasmine Jasudavicius fights in the UFC. I thought Kay Hansen would get the win. It didn't happen. I thought that Jasudavicius was then going to beat Natalia Silva. Boy, was I wrong. And then
There's a Venn diagram out there with Kennedy and Zechku and Jasmine Jasudavicius, and you're the only person in the middle of that.
Yeah, it's a sad place to be, and I don't enjoy it. So I want to get this one right. But for Jasudavicius, her last time out there against the former LFA champ Fernandez, I remember in the video we said, okay, Jasmine, really good at wrestling. Struggles with the striking from the outside. We saw that against Natalia Silva. Gabriela struggles with the takedowns, but she's really good on the outside. And what happened in that fight? Well, wrestling won out to the tune of a 30-26 for Jasmine Jasudavicius. So when it does come down to this matchup, I like the social media channels are just flooded with Jasmine Jasudavicius content. She does a really good job of marketing herself out there. Go ahead.
I have a baseball comp for you for Miranda Maverick.
Oh boy.
Is Miranda Maverick Jason Hayward? Miranda Maverick
a giant contract and ages through it.
Jason Hayward was an all-star in his rookie season. Had a lot of hype coming into the league and was thought of as, hey, a versatile defender in the outfield who could get done at the plate too. Well, he could hit though for a few seasons. Has an OPS plus of 102. I just looked it up. But for Miranda Maverick, she was kind of the princess that was promised, if you will, right? Like,
do you think that's why I started with that audio intro?
I bring it up every time Miranda Maverick fights though. Like, Miranda Maverick was thought of as the next great prospect in a division that has kind of had a lot of next great things. It's like in the NBA for a long time. Kobe Bryant worked out perfect because he came right after Michael Jordan and everyone was trying to be like Mike, right? Everybody was looking for the next Valentina Shevchenko, who's going to finally dethrone the champion. And I feel like we were kind of crowning these contenders before they really made it up to the top. And unfortunately for Miranda Maverick, it's no discredit to her. She's still a very talented fighter. It's just, she was thought of as kind of the next in line for the title. And she just hasn't really been able to realize that peak yet. But to her credit, she's still only 25 years old, turning 26 soon, but still a young fighter who can continue to progress.
And you got to kind of rein it in a little bit when you look at somebody like Miranda Maverick, 4-2 in the UFC. She beat Shani Young quite soundly in their rematch. That was her last fight. Worked in the takedowns, was able to really hold things and kind of stall it out. I know it's not the best fight to go back and watch. She submitted Sabina Mazo before that. You look at the 2-fight losing streak for Maverick in the UFC. She loses to some pretty darn good fighters. I mean, if you consider it right now, Macy Barber's ranked 11th in the division. Majority of people thought that Maverick had won that fight. And then before that, a lost Erin Blanchfield, who's now ranked number 4, and it's kind of the heir apparent to the next title shot. So you got to kind of take those losses for what they are. For Jasudavicius, again, she loses to Natalia Silva, who looks like another top contender. You imagine a fight between Natalia Silva and Manon Fiorot? Wouldn't that be a lot of fun? It would be. So when it does come down to this one, I know for Jasmine Jasudavicius, 2016 silver medalist, Canadian wrestling champ was Jasmine, and in the fights that she's had, and this is why I really have a hard time with it, I go back and I watch Jasudavicius' fight with Elise Reed to get ready for last weekend. And what happens in that fight? Jasmine gets some takedowns. Jasmine starts to reach with a lot of her punches, and Elise is able to circle out of the way, land a lot of kicks, land a lot of punches on the outside, and it's a lot of Jasmine just trying to circle and chase for the majority of the fight. Jasmine, to her credit, you look at that 50-odd second knockout that she has with BTC, and she lands every single good shot that she will land throughout a fight. She lands a right hand, she lands a jab, she lands the inside kick, she gets into the clinch, she lands really good knees. All in the span of under a minute. Those are all the things that you can look forward to out of Jasudavicius, and by and large, her cardio is quite good. I know getting ready for this fight, she trains with Anthony Romero at Niagara Top Team. She's trained with Mike Malott in the past as well. They feature heavily on the social medias. But when I look at a matchup like this, I'll be interested to see. Jasmine's fought southpaws in the past. Her last opponent, Fernandez, was a southpaw. Natalia Silva will switch stances. Miranda Maverick is a southpaw. This fight really does come down to The body kick out of Miranda Maverick in southpaw, the right cross of Jasmine when that lead hand gets up there. And those are two big weapons for both these fighters in every single one of their fights.
You bring up the clinch, though, for Jasudavicius. I think Maverick can have success in that position, too. Her elbows on the inside are very effective, and that's why a lot of people were so hyped up about her after a UFC debut. I just think that's a position that both fighters can have success in, where it's not just cut and dry, oh, if it's in this spot, Jasmine should be able to win a lot of them. And that's why I think it should make for an interesting fight, because on the outside, both fighters should be able to have success. Personally, I favor Maverick slightly with her outside striking, because if she's able to land that jab and some of her kicks from the outside, that's just going to help her accumulate numbers in her favor from that position, and I think it will force Jasmine to start reaching a little bit further for those takedowns, because if Jasmine's not able to start getting her own long distance striking going, I think it is going to really force her to be, okay, I'm really going to have to start going for it with her wrestling, and if that is the version of her we do get, I think it might be hard for her to sort of make up for it in the numbers if she's not able to get convincing takedowns over Maverick.
And Jasudavicius recently in this camp getting her BJJ brown belt at Niagara Top Team with coach Matt DiMarcantonio, Matt Allen. We saw Matt DiMarcantonio in a main event in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada, fighting Dan Gibbon. Dan Gibbon. He had a losing record, and he got finished, and then Matt DiMarcantonio held a pose for a really long time as I tried to get my phone out to take pictures. It was very awkward to a crowd of few. But the Allen brothers are there. Matt, when it does come down to the matchup, Maverick is favored to get the win in the fight. We have a look at the Tapology votes. Surprise us there to you. I'm 0-3 in picking Jasudavicius fights. I'm going to say over under 80% Maverick.
I think it'll be over.
And it is over slightly. 823 total votes, 85% Maverick. Large majority out of the fans with either side picking the fight to go to a decision. Give me Miranda Maverick. Again, I do think the kicks are going to play out a big factor for Maverick in this fight, opening up from the southpaw stance. Jasudavicius, again, she's got to walk in there to close that distance, which seems silly because she's taller and longer. But if you do watch a lot of the tape, maybe you'll come to the same conclusion as I did. I fear the Miranda Maverick. The Invicta Phoenix Series Rising 2 winner, Maverick.
I love tournaments, but those don't get me fired up at all. I have Miranda Maverick in the matchup, though. Again, you bring up her losses to good fighters. Erin Blanchfield's probably going to fight for a title, in the next 12 to 18 months? There's probably a pretty good chance of it. So I do have Maverick in this matchup. I just like the completeness of her game. And again, I bring up her age for a reason. At 25 years old, I do think she can still continue to make those improvements throughout her career.
Both of us going with Maverick in the matchup, so you can't call us Canadian homers in
we picked
this
against
one.
The majority of them, I feel
we have so far. Yeah, we have so far, actually. So make sure you check out those videos and try and get those special Canadianity things. But Matt, it should be a big-time card. Nunes taking on Aldana in the main event. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.